Hey, I'm Rusty.
And I'm Heather.
And we're the Bryants, and this is the Redeemed Marriage Podcast.
We are here to encourage healthy marriages, strengthen wounded marriages, and begin the process of restoration to broken marriages.
We aren't licensed counselors, but we are a redeemed couple that loves the Lord and wants to help you journey through this messy, challenging, and fun part of life called marriage. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Redeemed Marriage Podcast. Rusty and Heather Bryant with you, and we are looking forward to another discussion about the various seasons of marriage. We had a lot of fun last week talking about the honeymoon stage of marriage, which is those first few years after you get married and you're getting to know each other and you're learning things. And then we even talked about how you can keep that honeymoon stage going throughout your marriage, but then also how to prepare for not being empty nesters, but second honeymoon. So if you haven't had a chance, go back and check that one out. But today, we're going to have so much fun because we're going to talk about the season of life that probably most people ask us about most often, and that is the season of life with the little children. So what ages are we kind of talking about here?
I think newborn, obviously, through the toddler years.
Yeah.
Through
like 5-ish?
Yeah, until they go to school.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you might be in that season of life where you have at least one child in that age range. But if you're not, we want you to enjoy this episode along with us because we're not in that stage.
I was just fixing to say when you said this is going to be fun, I'm like, yeah, it's only fun because we're not in it.
I know, but so I want to talk to those people out there that are not in it because you're going to sort of get to maybe look back on those years a little bit and sort of smile because you're not there anymore.
Right. Or look forward to those years and smile and think that's what's coming.
Yes.
And I said through when they start school, but we have lots of people they'll have some in school, but still have one in this season.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's some that are like, they thought they were about to be empty nesters.
Uh-huh. And they're not.
And
Here
we go again.
Round 2.
But this is going to be fun no matter what season of life you're actually in. But we thought it would be fun just for the first few minutes. Well, first of all, we want people to know this is it is an incredible stage of life, an incredible stage of your marriage. And if you prepare for it correctly, if you live through it correctly, and then really even like for us looking back on it, it's like, man, that was amazing. When you're going through it, you think not so amazing all the time.
And we're the only people in the world with toddlers.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing is that just to start this off, I want people that are listening to us to know whatever you're going through, you're not alone. And lots of us, you just feel that way. I mean, how many times were we going through something and we literally thought we are the only people having to deal with this?
And like I can remember just so I could eat a meal in peace, you would walk around with the child in the restaurant, and I'm like, we're the only people in the restaurant that are not sitting and enjoying a meal together. When in reality, we weren't.
Yes, and so here's what we're going to do for fun. We're just going to sort of popcorn brainstorm, and we're going to just revisit all of the things that we can think of, one at a time, of just the things that we look back and go, oh my gosh. Like, there's no other way to describe it. Just, oh my gosh. Like, how did we live through that? So for those of you in the stage of marriage, you'll be able to go, oh, okay, well, they lived through that, and they survived.
That's right.
And those of you that are past this, you're going to get a kick out of it because you're going, yes, I remember that. All right.
And they'll probably think of a bunch that we don't say. But,
of course.
we were just brainstorming with some friends at lunch. And
they are in the stage.
That's right. And they would remind us of things. We were like, oh, yeah, I remember that.
Oh, yeah. How soon we forget.
That's right.
Okay, so this will be kind of the fun part, I guess, of marriage. It might bring up some really, really horrific memories for some people or that you're going through. And then we'll move into maybe some practical tips and things that you can do to save your marriage while it's going on. All right, so you want to start? Go anywhere you want to go.
Okay, the first thing I thought about was nursing.
Oh, gee.
Ooh, because some people are really good at that, and some people like me were terrible. And then I had to deal with like the mom guilt of not being good at it. And I have a really good friend that's pro nursing and all that. And if she had been my friend during this time, I think I could have done it. But I just couldn't do it. And I can remember sitting in the bathtub, and you were sitting beside me, and I was just sobbing. Mm-hmm. You were sitting outside the bathtub holding our firstborn and saying, "It's okay. Just quit."
Yep. Yeah, I did. I was like, it's not worth it. It's not worth the mental
I was like,
anguish
if I could just
that
feel like myself again, I could do this.
Some people, though, they thrive during that. And so when you throw that out the first time, some people are going, oh, that was the greatest
That's
time
right.
ever.
And they can, if you crushed it, awesome. More power to you.
Yep. Okay, so I'm going to just throw out the whole diaper situation. Oh, my goodness. Because, so I was one of those dads that changed my share of diapers. Some people just shy away from that. But I changed a lot of diapers in a lot of different places. And, gosh, I think I still can smell it. And I just remember those trash cans that were supposed to keep the smell in.
Didn't.
Oh, my goodness. Maybe they're better these days. But
Mm-hmm.
not just the diapers and changing them and the smell, but how much they cost.
Yeah.
Holy cow. It was like we got a raise whenever that ended. So, yep, we feel you. If you've got kids in that stage,
And speaking of diapers, what about potty training?
Worst. The worst. I mean, we had trouble.
We had boys. They could pee anywhere.
Yep.
You know?
But they did pee anywhere. It was the other thing that they wouldn't do. I won't pull up. I won't pull up.
This child, I'm not even going to say which one. This child would pee all day long in the potty, and he would hold it and hold it and hold it and hold it and hold it. And we would finally give in because he'd be like, I need a pull up. Because he did not want to do number 2 in the potty.
Yep. So if you're in that stage, we remember. We know the struggle.
That's right.
Okay, this is really funny because the friends that we were talking to were like, ain't nobody say they would enjoy bath time. And like the crazy thing is you have to give them kids baths every night almost.
And we didn't even have girls. Can you imagine washing a girl's hair every night and getting the tangles out and brushing it? I mean, we were like, just shave our kids' heads, buzz cut, easy and done.
But bath time, I mean, what a challenge, you know, for everybody. And I did a lot of bath time.
You did.
That was kind of my way of you getting a break for just a little bit.
Because I was at home with them during the day.
And so bath time. Woo-hoo.
Yep.
Oh, glad we're not there.
And speaking of these friends, we were in a restaurant when we were having a conversation with them. And I mean, you remember you couldn't just sit and enjoy your meal. It was like, why can't we just sit here and eat? Somebody's up. Somebody's crawling. Somebody wants this. Somebody wants that. I need to potty. All the things. You can't just sit and enjoy a meal.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people that almost makes them not want to ever go out to eat. Yeah. And, social life just completely changes because you're like, well, I don't want my kid to be bothering everybody. But, okay, let's go with how about how many times we were in the stinking doctor's office. And I actually remember our doctor, our pediatrician, telling us one time, because I don't know, I'm sure I made some comment and said, I feel like I see you every day.
Right.
And he said, there's going to come a time when you're going to look back and go, man, we haven't been to the doctor in a long time. But man, it seemed like one would get
Yep.
well, and then the other one would get sick, and then the other one would get over it, and that one would get it.
Yep.
I mean, we were just constantly, and that's not even. I mean, we're not even going with medicine. Holy cow! We tried to talk to one of our kids the other day about how bad they were at taking medicine. Good grief! I mean, it was a struggle to get them to take medicine. Yeah. Sometimes it would last 30, 45 minutes. And it was we won't pull our hair out.
Yep.
So
what about, this is one of my favorites. You can't keep the house clean.
Ooh.
Like, I stayed home with our kids, and I could not keep the house clean. Like, I would say, okay, today, while they're napping, which that's a whole nother story, because while they're napping, most of the time, you should be napping too. That's not just for the newborn stage, by the way. But while they were napping, I would be like, okay, today I'm going to get the house clean while they're napping. And I would clean the house. I would be like, oh, Rusty's going to be so happy when he comes home, which I learned later that you didn't care if the house was clean or not. That was in one of our marriage things. But I would be so proud of getting the house clean, and literally within 10 minutes of them waking up, dirty.
Yep.
Toys everywhere.
Yep.
Couldn't keep a clean house.
The toys, we would try to organize it and put things in baskets and stuff. Oh my goodness. And they would destroy it. And it was all everywhere.
Yep.
And I'm thinking of like when we would go, I'm thinking of trips, but not just trips. Like anywhere you go, you feel like you are packing up to go like on a 3-week vacation. Right. I mean, it was like, you got to have this, you got to have this, you got to have this. And,
just to go to Walmart.
Yeah, you're throwing all this stuff in the car. But then, like, seriously, if you're going on a trip, it was, holy cow. You see this movies and everybody looks all sweet. And then we're like that family, walking across the street with everybody's got something on shoulders. And, oh, my gosh, it was, that was hard.
Yep. I naturally, you're going to laugh at me, I naturally thought of lack of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Holy moly. Mm-hmm. Like, and our trouble was we would get the kids to sleep, and then we didn't want to go immediate to sleep because it was the only time of day we had without them.
Yep.
But then half the time I would fall asleep trying to get them to sleep, and you'd have to come in there and wake me up. And then waking up early, it didn't matter what time we put them down. They were going to wake up at 6 o'clock.
Yep. Waking up early, waking up during the middle of the night. Oh man, that was hard because we were not good at being interrupted with our sleep.
We were not.
Okay.
Our second child did not follow the rules.
Yeah, true.
Our first child started sleeping through the night when he was 7 weeks old. I was like, oh, I'm crushing this mom thing. Let's do it again.
Second one would come and get in our bed almost every night. And it was like, oh, forget it. Just do it. I mean,
if you'll sleep, I don't care.
Yeah, we just want to sleep. Just
he
lay
slept
here.
through the night for the first time when he was 3.
Yep.
And I'd hear him on the monitor. Like, we would have a monitor, and he would be in the monitor saying, "Oh, milk. I want milk." I mean, milk. Yeah, he just wanted milk. I was like, oh my gosh, just go to sleep.
So speaking of sleep, I do remember rocking the kids, which we both did that, and we did enjoy that. But there were nights.
Don't come at us with emails about not rocking your children to sleep.
Oh yeah, we loved it. And everybody's got their own thing. That's fine. Right. No judgment either way. But the crying, and you couldn't get them to stop crying, and I just remember thinking, it's only by the grace of God that I'm not throwing this child against the wall right now. Like,
now we're really going to get emails.
Like, stop. Just stop crying.
Yep.
Oh, holy moly.
Or tell me what's wrong. And they can't.
Mm-hmm.
They literally cannot.
What else you got?
How expensive they are.
Daycare. Yeah.
Diapers, formula. Which, did you know there's a formula shortage right now?
I've seen that.
That's weird.
It's kind of fun. I mean, like, that's not funny. It's not funny because I know people are going through it. But, like, when you're not going through it, you don't pay a lot of attention to it. But, my heart really does go out. Because I have thought a couple of times, wow, I'm glad we're not in that stage of marriage.
I'd have to go back to nursing.
Whew, rough. Okay, here's kind of a funny one. I can't even begin to tell you how many shows we've seen movies or television shows that we've seen over 100 times each. The same stinking shows. And that's what they wanted to watch, the same ones. And oh, my goodness.
And now they're different. Like our friends that have little ones right now, they'll sing about Paw Patrol or what. And I'm like, I don't know them.
That's
like
right.
our era was, oh, where is my hairbrush? Oh, where is my hairbrush? Over and over and over and over and over again.
All right. Can you, any more? We covered a lot of stuff. But some people are out there going, you forgot about this.
That's right. Okay. One last one to close on. What about the constant touching and crawling on you and like at dinner, at trying to watch shows, at just always on you? It's like, oh my gosh.
Hold you.
I want to hold you.
Yep. They just want to be picked up and
all the time.
It's just trying to find moments to escape. Okay, so a little trip down memory lane there.
And now people who've never had children are like, we ain't doing that.
But you have to. That's right. And you don't have to.
There's experience.
There are plenty of, and we know that there's people that listen to us that don't have children, and so you are listening to this going, hey, made a good choice.
That's right.
But we also recognize what an amazing season of marriage it really is. But we also, all of those are challenges. We've just spit out probably 20, 25 challenges. And so how do you survive that as a married couple? Because that's what we really want to focus on the last few minutes that we have. We just want to talk about what are some things, how did we survive? How did we make it through a lot of those challenges? Do you want to start?
Well, I was just thinking how last week we talked about the honeymoon stage and how those early years you were trying to figure out how to do life as a married couple. And I think we talked about how one person brings in, and if we haven't, shame on us, but how one person brings into marriage how they were raised and what their view of marriage was and their expectations of marriage. And then the other person brings in their history of what a marriage looks like and their expectations. And you're still trying to figure that out. Like, I don't think that we were like, okay, we mastered that. Now let's add something else. I mean, people are still trying to figure that out most of the time when you start having children. So then not only have you not mastered that, but now you're bringing in how you were raised and parenting, and then your partner's parenting styles, your spouse's parenting styles, and it's not like we sat down and said, how are we going to discipline, or how are we going?
Probably should have, to be honest,
but we didn't. We just had to figure it out, and some people are okay with rocking their children to sleep. Some people don't want to. So what if you and your spouse don't agree on that? So you're all of a sudden bringing in differences that you probably have never even discussed before.
Yeah, and I think that the first thing that I would say that kind of goes along with that is that during this stage of marriage, every stage of marriage needs to be like this, but this is when you really start to become a team.
Sure.
We talked about it last week because you're learning to become a team together, doing the things around the house and the hobbies and the chores and everything. You're a team, but this is when now you actually, it's kind of like you're the coach, you're co-coaches, and you got a team that you're putting together. And so I
love that you didn't say head coach and assistant coach.
No, you're both.
That's right.
It's co-coaches.
That's right.
But yeah, you learn how to be a team, and so those things that you were talking about, just the discipline. How do you discipline? I mean, the little things like, are we gonna? It's not little things, but are you gonna rock your kids to sleep? Are you gonna just put them in the bed? I mean, are
you gonna spank? Are you? I mean,
right?
What? Time out.
And it is stuff that you just need to actually have a conversation about. You can't just assume your way is the way.
Right.
And so, if you don't get a chance to discuss it, or if you haven't discussed it as, before marriage, which some things you probably have, and you just know what's going to happen. But there's a lot of stuff that as it comes up, you just need to go, let's talk through this, because like I said, you are a team. And one of the things about teams being a team that I really want to point out, I feel like there's still a lot of couples out there that I sort of feel like, I mean, maybe this is a little bit old school, but it's like, hey, dad's going to go to work, mom's going to take care of the kids, and dad provides for the family, so don't really have to do the parenting thing as much. And yeah, I mean, and I know that times are much different now. And there's a lot of stay-at-home dads, and there's
mostly both are working.
That's right. And
absolutely.
So all of that to say, there doesn't need to be like, well, I'm doing this, so you do this. It is a team. It's a team.
With that being said, we both have strengths.
Yes,
for
sure.
Like for you really enjoyed, as much as you slammed on it, you enjoyed doing bath time. Like that was a way that you knew you could help.
Yeah.
You could help them, you could help me, and you were like, I'll take bath times. I mean, that just was your deal, and that's okay.
I think what I really wanted to point out, there's a lot of people out there that, that may say, oh, I'm not an infant person. I don't, that's just not my thing. Well, that's fine, but you have an infant. So now it is your thing.
That's right.
And so that's the part that the family and the team and the bonding, it's like we're in this thing together. So, don't push off your responsibilities as a dad or as a mom onto the other spouse just because something's too hard, or you don't like that,
and I mean that can be practical. Like if you're nursing, well, only the mom can do that. But you got up many a night and went and got the baby and brought him into our room so that I could try to nurse him. So it's just being a team. But I want to make sure that people don't hear that means you have to always do everything, because like I don't do vomit. Like, and if I was listening to this, I would be like, oh my gosh, I have to do vomit. I don't do well. If I clean up, throw up, I'm going to throw up.
What if I didn't do it?
Well, God would never do that to two people.
Like, I'm sure we're going to definitely get a comment on that. We both hate the vomit.
I mean, nobody likes it,
I know.
But you don't go throw up if you're cleaning up throw up, where I would.
Right.
So there's things that...
Well, there's strengths and weaknesses.
And that's okay.
Yes.
But it's not okay to say, this is your job, this is my job, and I'm not doing that because it's not my thing.
Yeah. And I think even along with that, one of the things I've thought about is just the whole family bonding. Like, this is the opportunity that everybody bonds. And I do feel like that there are some people out there where, maybe it's for me, I struggled with the infant stage. Not that I struggled. I mean, I did. I loved it all, but I wanted kids because I was ready to play.
That's right. Can you roll a ball?
Yeah, like let's go outside and play.
Yeah.
And that's what I was ready for because I was just a big kid. And so, when before they could even walk and stuff, and they're just laying there on the floor, I'm like, this is terrible.
Right.
Like, what am I going to do with this kid?
Until they start walking, and then you're like, could you please just lay on the floor?
Yes, true. But you were good at that, like, putting the shapes in the buckets and things like that. Like, that was what you were good at. And I could have easily said, I'm going to step out of this situation and wait until they get old enough to where I can play with them.
Right.
But you have to invest and bond. And even, I think a lot of times the whole boy-girl thing too. Like, it would have been really easy for different stages of our marriage for you to go, well, they're boys and they're your responsibility now.
Right.
No, this is where you bond as a family that lasts a lifetime.
That's right.
And that's why even now, I mean, I don't think either one of our boys, I don't think you could say either one of them is a mama's boy or a daddy's boy.
Sure.
It's just our family.
That's right.
And we really did a good job there because we just both were invested at every single stage with them.
Right. One thing that I was thinking about while you were talking is that I think so many people, and I really want to talk about how not to fall out of love with your spouse and focus on falling, and like, you can't just turn your love towards your children. You can't just say, because what happens is when you're done with this stage, you forget why you loved your spouse. And, I can remember loving you because you helped give me these amazing children. You know, that was a reason why I fell in love with you even more. But it can't be the only reason. Does that make sense? Like it can't just be, I love you because you were able to give me these children. Like you have to keep up
the honeymoon stage.
And I hear, I don't ever want people to listen to this and think we were the perfect parents. Because we obviously, we have struggles. But I think that this is probably one of the areas where I feel like we could have gone back and done better, is keeping our marriage
for sure
alive and exciting and fresh, and putting energy into that instead of just putting energy into the boys.
Because we did consume ourselves with our children when they were young, and I think that there's a lot of couples out there do that, whether they admit it or not. And so, that would be, to me, this is probably the biggest thing, and everybody probably knows this is what we were going to say about this stage is that you have to make time to be a married couple, whatever that looks like. And we understand the expenses of babysitters and actually trying to find time, not just time, but like, do I even have the energy to like go out and do something? And so it's not just that. Yes, you need to set aside time where you can, go on a date and things. But even the couple we were talking to at lunch today, we said something about, y'all should get babysitters, and this was a few days ago, and go, and we can go see a movie, the new Top Gun movie together.
Right.
And it set a chain reaction of thoughts like, okay, well, if we do that, then I've got to do this, as far as the kids go, and I'm really tired, and, I really have this I need, and then
I've got to pay for a movie and a babysitter.
And then it's just like,
it's too hard.
It's too hard. It's not even worth it.
Yeah.
And I get it.
Sure.
Like, I get that. So,
then you know what she also said is she followed that up with, but every time I do it, even if I don't want to, even if I think, this is too much trouble, once it's done, I'm so thankful that I made time.
Yeah.
And that's what you have. It's the outcome. Gosh, I'm so glad we did that.
And you have to be purposeful.
Right.
And, I would say those are the times, if you haven't, several weeks ago we did an episode on, actually the making. How did we word it? It was the making.
Not with you.
When we were talking about scheduling a date night, scheduling time for communication. Sometimes you have to have like systems in place in order to make it a habit, and that's where this season of life, I think that's really important, is to put these systems in place that almost make you go on a date. Make you set aside time to communicate.
And don't be unrealistic. Like, we're going to go out once a week.
Right.
For most people, that's not working.
Right.
Now, could once a week we put the kids to bed and then watch a movie together or play a game together or something like that? Absolutely.
Or fall asleep while we're watching a movie together.
Or have the scheduled sex time.
Yes, and that's a big part. That was one of the last things I wanted to say. You can't neglect that.
That's right.
It's not like you can, hey, we made these babies,
and that's right.
And then, once they're old enough to be on their own, then, we'll be physically.
What's the word for that?
Procreation.
Yes. But then you have to keep up the recreation.
The recreation. That's right. Don't make the infants.
That's right.
Become no recreational sex.
That's right.
No, I just think that's important because people, you're so tired. You don't feel like it. Who knows if the kid's going to wake up during the middle of the. It's just all of those things. But that's where you also have to make it fun and enjoyable. Our pastor today talked about putting the fun back in dysfunctional. And sometimes you just have to learn to laugh a little.
That's right.
Like, if the kid wakes up, then okay, that's funny.
Yeah.
But
it's
pick it back up.
Story.
Pick it back up and figure out a way to finish it later. It's just, you just have to you have to learn to laugh a lot during this stage of marriage.
And not take things so seriously.
Just don't take life so seriously.
Yep.
But making time for each other, whether that's communicating, whether that's physical relationship, it's so important because you are going to come out of this stage at some point. And
even though it feels like you're
like
never.
it's a never-ending thing. But you're going to come out at some point, and then what are you left with?
That's right.
And so that's the other thing that I guess to end this whole thing on is don't wish it away. But at the same time, you know, there are a lot of people that just kind of try to hold on to it a little bit too long because they think, oh, I'm going to never want this, you know, I'll never get this stage back. The next stage is better.
It's better.
I mean,
it always is.
It just is. And so, like, yes, don't wish the stage away because it is amazing. And we loved having little children. But at the same time, it's a season. And the season's going to change. It's going to move on to the next one. And if you live that season right, then you can move to the next one. You can be happy that you went through that stage and you suffered through it together, but you also loved it and laughed together through it, and then you're ready for the next one.
Yep. What is next week? Teenagers?
No. We're gonna do the stage because I think it's the craziest stage.
Oh,
like
yes.
where you're before they get to be
That's
teenagers,
right.
and you're just literally chasing them all over
you're
the
the taxi
country.
service. That's right.
Yeah, so that'll be fun too
Yeah.
because we're not far removed from that one.
We're still kind of in that one for 2 more months.
True, because he doesn't have his license yet. But yeah, so man, this is fun, and that was really fun for us to relive that stage because we don't have to go back there.
That's right.
And like it's kind of funny because like even right now there's no children in our house right now. They're just gone for the afternoon. So let me tell you, trust me, you're gonna get to this. You're gonna get to this stage if you're living through the toddler and infant stage and you think it's never gonna end. We can tell you right now there are no children in our house.
And look at your spouse and say, we're going to make it.
That's right.
We're going to make it.
Gonna make it.
We got this.
And we can also promise you that you can still be as in love as you were before you had those children and during the time you had those children when you get to our stage. So it's something to look forward to.
That's right.
All right. So until next week, hey, please take some time, follow us, rate us, review us. Those are the things that help us to get our message in front of more people. And we will see you guys next week.